Are we now? She. Isn't it exciting?
Yeah, always. Just never know what's going to happen.
This is my new friend Guan, which is Cantonese for stick. I let go of Fred. I was tired of Fred. In case you didn't know Fred, he was my walker. So I just want to, I'm so excited to introduce our fantastic speaker today, Rev Savanna. As many of you know her so well. She's a speaker, a teacher, a relationship coach. I've had lots of coaching. Yeah, she's been great. And she started her spiritual path at the old age of 16 in Denver, Colorado, at the Mile High Church. And she supports people in their discovery of healthy, connected, conscious, intimate relationships and worthiness. She has worked extensively globally, outreach with Science of Mind, notably both in Egypt and the Ukraine. And she's told us many fabulous stories about that. Over a span of 11 years, she's based now out of Seattle. We try to get her whenever she is. She's family now. Like she's family. You're part of the family. We often try to convince her to stay with us because she's like our daughter. So welcome, Rev Savanna.
Good morning.
Morning.
So weird having this camera right in my face, but hopefully, oh yeah, it looks great. I decided to wear leopard today, y'all, because leopard for me represents power. I mean, it could represent a lot of things, but I need a little bit of that today. I've often been told that my vulnerability is my strength. When I was in ministerial school back in, I want to say 2010, I was in a homiletics course, which is basically the art of public speaking. And the senior minister, Dr. Roger Teal, who was the minister at Mile High forever and ever, Mile High Church in Denver, he once said to us, don't ever get up on stage and bleed all over your congregation. He said that. And what he meant by that was that don't get up on stage and pour your heart out with whatever situation or challenge you're going through if you haven't really worked through some of it. And there's great wisdom in that for sure. And while I know that to be true, I also know that there's power in sharing from a vulnerable space of where we're at. And that the topic for today, I believe, was about celebration and dance. And as a speaker and minister who wants to be relevant in the world, I found it to be very disingenuous for me to talk about that today. So I want to talk about something else. And I'm going to, and it's about the courage to continue. It took me a while to put this talk together this weekend because what I want to share hasn't fully made its full transit through the stages of my grief, of forgiveness work, of the learning and the gifts. I know there are gifts in this experience that I'm going to share with you, and yet I know them kind of, but not quite yet. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because, number one, I want to be authentic and genuine to my own experience, but my hope is that what I share today, you glean some insights of your own and some gems of your own. So if I'm a little shaky, this is the reason why. I'm sure you've had moments in your life where you wanted to just give up the struggle, the fight, the resistance, the pushing, the overworking, the search for the love of your life, the need to please or be perfect, the work that I think it takes for us to live in this human bodysuit. And as I've heard as of late from multiple elders, the reality and the grief of feeling invisible or less able-bodied as we age. It's the courage to continue. It's the courage to continue finding joy and meaning and hope in a world that is filled with chaos and uncertainty right now. So it's the courage to continue, to keep going, to keep forging a new path forward, despite the valleys and the turns and the falls. And what I'm coming to discover is that your life and my life are defined by how we react to the greatest moments of adversity. And so I want to share one of my moments of adversity right now. And I don't want to get into all the details because that's not the most important part. And also because it's very public and I cannot speak about this all publicly. But I had a situation happen to me in early October. My car was vandalized very badly by somebody very close to me. It was keyed. My tire was flattened. There were expletives written on it. This person defecated outside my car.
Oh my God.
Smeared it on my door. And it wasn't until a few weeks ago that I found out who it was. And never in my life would I have thought that it was someone that I knew. You think you know people, you know? And I want you to know that as I am saying this, that I'm doing everything in my power right now to keep myself safe. I am safe, to protect my safety. But I want you to take in that for a moment. Just that. I'm guessing that your immediate reaction is probably physical. It's probably palpable. Fear, disgust, worry, anxiety. Could be a tightening in your chest, which is what I can feel right now as I tell this. A violation. You might feel some empathy for me. And I share this because in light of it, there are some things that I'm learning and I want to share with you today because I know I'm not the only one in this room that goes through struggle and hardship and ups and downs and grief and loss and violation and trauma. And so when trauma unexpectedly happens, these unexpected events in our life and grief hits, we are often taken out of our bodies. And so one of the things I've been working on the last few weeks is how can I get back into my body? How do I process this? Because the tendency in these moments of trauma and change and grief is we want to fly, we want to freeze, we want to abandon, jump out of the body, disassociate with what happened. And it's part of human evolution and survival, right? So the difficult thing, the hard conversation, the hard interaction, the tough moment, how often do we consciously stay with the emotion, with the feeling, the visceral feeling of breathing, when we're stressed, when we want to escape life or the body, we flee or freeze. And I think for me, it's been all of those. And the practice is doing whatever we can to come back into our body, to allow the mind to relax enough that the nervous system can come down enough so that we can actually feel what happened. In this culture, we're not taught to do that, honestly. I see this in my little kiddos that I take care of. I nanny for a few little toddlers, and one of the things I've noticed in his development is when he goes to preschool, he has on his mask. And little children learn this when they're really little of how to pose, how to be. How do I be around my peers at 2.5, 3 years old? And then when I pick him up, oftentimes what will happen is he will have a complete meltdown. And I'm like, you were just fine. You were just over there playing. What happened? And his teacher said to me, well, he's safe with you. He knows you. He can let his guard down. So the moment you get him, he's just a mess. And I'm like, wow, how powerful that is to feel our feelings fully And so when we are stressed out, the tendency is to want to escape, to avoid, to bury our heads in the sand. I want you to take a moment with me to just close your eyes, because I know that's a lot. And just take a deep breath. And exhale. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in. And I just want you to scan your body for a second. And where are you tight right now? Where do you feel a tightness or a resistance or a heaviness? Where do you feel contracted? And then take a deep breath and breathe into that place. Breathe in. And breathe out. And that's part of the practice. You can open your eyes. Of where am I tightening up? Where am I not letting go? Where am I holding on so tightly? Where am I in resistance? And so for me, I've been spending this last week, because I've had to deal with, as you can imagine, all sorts of things, legally, all of those things. And I've been in autopilot trying to get back into my body so that I can feel my feelings and I can release this trauma. And the deepest practice of embodiment is not always just when we're doing yoga or exercise, but to me, embodiment has to be a priority. It's a choice. It's, I'm gonna face this, I'm gonna lean into the discomfort, I'm gonna sit with these uncomfortable feelings of pain and anger and rage and sadness and grief. And so when we feel unsafe or things are intense with our feelings, oftentimes, as I said, we want to leave the body, but healing happens in the body. Because the body, as we know, is intelligent. And this is why we have to feel it. We say this all the time, we have to feel it to heal it. And I remember years ago, Dr. Ken Gordon said to me, we cannot heal what we don't acknowledge. And Ernest Holmes would take that even further and say that it isn't that we deny that the condition exists. Like for someone who's going through a health crisis or, they got some sort of diagnosis, I'm not going to tell them they don't have it. I'm not going to deny that it exists, but I'm going to turn away and deny that the condition has any power over them or me. And right now, I think that's been, my work is taking my power back. How do we take power back from the things that we're giving so much attention to come back to feeling within my body? And so when we have a situation like this, to make this more universal, when we feel that our power has been compromised or that inner authority or that inner autonomy has been taken away somehow, or maybe you feel unheard or unseen or unable to be your full self, taking our power back is essential. And I would say in my client practice, this is one of the key things I work with people on the most, is how do we come back to self? How do we come back to that inner wisdom? How do we come back to knowing the truth about, capital T truth about my divinity and my connection with my source and that power that is in me and not out here? I swear that's like my life work. Years ago, when I was in Egypt, I was living there post-Arab Spring, so I was there in 2012. And over the last few weeks, I've kind of had these remnants of, how trauma can do this in the body sometimes. I had these feelings of, oh my gosh, this is what I felt like living there. This feeling I have is what I felt like. It's like the senses were constantly being bombarded. I was followed on the streets. I was harassed daily. I constantly had to protect that little inner child until one day it just erupted in rage. And my ex-boyfriend was like, what is going on with you? Because it had no place to land. There was no foundation there, right? And so it took time for me to learn to regulate. And I would say that all of us have experienced trauma of some sort. And it requires us to constantly be mindful of the work, which is why this teaching is so powerful. Last weekend, I didn't realize at the time that this was something that was feeding my soul, but I decided I needed to reclaim my space back because this person was in my home like a month after it happened. So I was like, I gotta reclaim my space. And I have all these, I don't have children, but I have all these little not babies, but they're my babies, my plants everywhere. And I thought, they need a bigger space. So I went to Lowe's and I got 3 bags of potting soil, and I just sat in my living room and I turned on something that would soothe my inner child, which for me is like Harry Potter and Star Wars. And it is, it's that inner, that inner child is so happy. And I sat on the floor and just got my hands in the dirt and I repotted 10 plants. I was so proud of myself, and I'm looking at them like, oh, they have so much space. They feel so safe. It's a beautiful metaphor, and then self-care became part of that dynamic. When you feel you are powerless, how do we care for ourselves? Ernest Holmes would talk a lot about the power of the mind and where we're putting our attention. As well as, for me, it's acupuncture, it's chiropractic work, it's massage, it's somatic work, it's getting my nails done, it's, finding community and friends that I can talk to. And I also realized that disconnection breeds depression, anxiety, and withdrawal. We cannot access emotions at the level of the body when we are disconnected. And so therefore, you'll notice that cycle where when we don't express the thing within us, it starts to create disease within the body, dysfunction, and for many, depression and unfulfilled life. And so the first thing is learning how to be in the body. The second thing I would say is, slowing way down. In this world of news and frenzy and opinions and decisions and dramas, can we just slow it way down? Have you ever noticed that if you're in the workplace or whoever, you're with a friend or you're texting somebody and you get this really nasty email or text, and your tendency is to want to just respond with some sort of really good rebuttal? Have you ever done that and then you regretted it? Like, I should have waited for a moment? What happens when you don't take the pause? What happens when you don't take the pause before you respond? You can't take it back. It makes it worse. It creates chaos. And then the question becomes, did I really even need to respond to that at all? And that is the power, again, of instead of being in my reactivity to the thing that happened to me, can I sit in the stillness of it and see what it has to show me? Do I even need to respond to this person? Can I, again, regulate my nervous system enough to say, is this really mine? Is this mine to do? Do I need to engage in this right now? Am I putting my attention and power over here where it doesn't belong? Can I just come back to here? Like, what feels in the body right and perfect for me? And then we make the decision from that place, and then you know that it's aligned. And what I've noticed about myself being in this traumatic state is I've had this need to distract, to fill the space with distractions, busyness, work, probably unhealthy things like eating too much or drinking or whatever, and doing everything I can to keep moving, because if I stay still, what does that mean? You have to think. What else? You have to feel it. You might have to be with the anger and the pain and the sadness and the grief of what just happened. We say, though, that the only way out is through and in. The only way out is through and in. And so when we slow things down, when you're in a state of uncertainty, if you're feeling right now this inner sense of urgency, slow down. This is the message to me as well. And if we don't slow down, guess what happens? Life does it for us. This is why meditation is so important to us. One of the affirmations that my dear colleague and friend Jill gave me this weekend is peace. Peace is at the center of me. Say that to yourself. Peace is at the center of me. Love is at the center of me. Beauty is at the center of me. Abundance is at the center of me. Doesn't that feel good? I think one of the things that grief teaches us, and ultimately it almost forces us, is to acknowledge that we may not be able to process information as quickly as we normally would be. That's one of the things I'm realizing. So we slow it down. We give ourselves grace. We allow for new insights. We allow for healing. And in order to release, we have to feel it. And one of the things that I noticed, and I've noticed over time when my client practice, is how much attention we as human beings put on coping, armoring up, defending, avoiding, compromising, camouflaging, hiding to keep up with the status quo or the image or the perfect partner, or I've got to do well to get ahead in life, whatever that is. When inside, if we got in touch with that inner child, we would find that that inner child wants us to acknowledge and keep safe and to hold and to understand that we are there for them. And so when we work through the muck of all that to authenticity, that is where we notice humanity. And then within humanity, we notice our own divinity. So it's like we bring ourselves back to the work of the knowing, of the inner knowing. There's a book that I'm reading right now that I love so much because I feel like it's where I'm at in my phase of life. It's called The Second Mountain, and it's by David Brooks. And he talks about how in life we go through seasons of suffering, and we go through seasons where we're out in the wilderness, and that it is so important for us to enter the wilderness because transformation, he says, is the business of winter. So in wintertime, we know we slow down, right? And sometimes we have to enter the wilderness. And so he says when you're enduring seasons of pain, the season of feeling lost, it can be a period of soul-crushing anguish, but it can also be one of the most precious seasons of your life. John Keats said that we live in a mansion of many apartments. And so when we're on the first mountain of trying to attain and succeed and have and acquire, we're living in what Keats called the thoughtless chamber. He says this is our default chamber. This is where we just unthinkingly absorb the values and the ways of life that happen to and around us. We as humans want to stay in that chamber, right? Because it's comfortable. And everybody knows, they know you without approval. There's, I think it's a book or an article that W.H. Auden wrote called The Age of Anxiety. And he said, we would rather be ruined than changed. We would rather die in our dread than climb the cross of the moment and let our illusions die. There's nothing intrinsically noble about suffering. Sometimes grief is just grief to be gotten through. Sometimes when our suffering can be connected to a larger narrative of change and redemption, we can suffer our way to wisdom. And Ernest Holmes talks about it in the What We Believe, that the goal of life is to be free from discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. And yet the kind of wisdom I think you get in your suffering, if you're paying attention, you cannot get from books. You have to experience it, because I think suffering upsets the normal patterns of life, and it reminds you that you are not who you thought you were. I think suffering teaches us gratitude. It puts us in solidarity with others who suffer, and it makes us more sympathetic to those who share this or some other, sort of pain in this way, and it tenderizes the heart. Suffering calls for a response. None of us can avoid it, but we can all choose, as I said at the very beginning, how we respond to it. Brooks says, seasons of pain expose the falseness and vanity of most of our ambitions and eliminate the larger reality of living and dying, caring and being cared for. Pain helps us see the true size of our egotistical desires. He says, climbing out of the valley is not like recovering from a disease. Many people don't come out healed, they come out different. So the things that are the worst to undergo are often the best to remember. Because of those low moments, the protective shells are taken off and humility is achieved. A problem is clearly presented and a call to service is clearly received. And so there are no shortcuts. It's that thing of we have to, as you said earlier, we go through. So the valley is where we shed that old self so that the new self can emerge. The poets of years past have often described this eternal three-step process as from suffering to wisdom to service. So dying to the old self, cleansing and emptying ourselves, as the Buddhists would say, emptying everything, and then resurrecting the new. And this is why we must go through the wilderness. And it also is why we must start listening to our lives and listening to our bodies. Ernest Holmes said this: stay with the one source, and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst is the best time to work and the most satisfying time. The person who can throw themselves with a complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. So this brings me to my last point, which is, are you listening to your life? Are you committing to a vocation or a project or a purpose or a path? The teacher, Parker Palmer, said, you don't find your vocation through an act of taking charge. Vocation does not come from willfulness. It comes from listening. I must listen to my life and try to understand what it is truly about, quite apart from what I would like it to be about. So it means, and I say this as much to myself, that we must have patience and our ability to rest and be in the uncertainty, to not jump to premature conclusions, because listening to life means that we're asking, what have I done well? What have I done poorly? What do I do when I'm being paid or rewarded? When I ventured into the wilderness, I'm surprised by how much I really enjoy my own company. And I also find that it is during this time that we're going into, this winter time, that we're given this beautiful gift of refocusing on what we want to birth and create and pursue. And so think to yourself, what is the path or the project or the thing that I want to commit to as we slowly start to come into this new year? The commitment to our vocation keeps us aligned, and for me, it keeps me excited about my life. It takes me out of suffering. It takes me out of grief. Why? Because you're fully aligned with that powerful energy within yourself, right? So what phase or project are you in? Are you in a deep listening place? Are you in a creation place or planning? Are you just being? Are you allowing? Are you in the inquiry of the thing? For me, that is another way of self-care and getting back into my body, is asking myself, what is it that brings me most alive? And I'm going to do that. I'm going to focus on collecting more accounts of joy. That deep commitment to your purpose and to your passion, to your vocation, it engenders joy just by the nature of it. So my question to you then is, where do you want to focus right now? Where are you being called to focus? And if you are feeling disconnected or sad or depressed or worried, how can you find ways to get into your body? If that is the only thing you took from this talk, getting into your body. And so I think I came full circle because this talk was supposed to be about celebration and dancing actually would be getting in the body. So if you love to dance, that might be one of the other ways. So the last thing I want to say is that while I may not be on the other side of this whole interesting thing yet, I'm working on stillness, on safety, and what that means to me. Inner safety, inner knowing, deep listening, staying in my body and listening to it when I want to just flee. And for you, if you're going through something right now that's asking you to pay attention to how you feel in your body, you must listen. You must slow down. And in slowing down, we have this opportunity to really become unencumbered and free. The courage to continue will then for us be second nature, because we are then connected to our most vulnerable selves, to our most authentic selves, to that divine spark, that divine wisdom that already knows the answer and already knows what to do. It knows what step you need to take next. It knows where to refocus your attention. It knows what actual true safety is. And so I'll close with this quote by the comic poet and writer John Rodell. Oh, my love, this isn't where your story ends. This is just the chapter where you face the dragon. This is just the chapter when you defeat fear. This is just the chapter where you discover that you are the very same treasure that you've been searching for your whole life. Oh, my love, your survival is my favorite story. So let us just go within now and just take that holy breath. Breathing into the body. Giving thanks for the power and the presence of this wisdom, of this intelligence that is holding everything together and apart all at the same time. That wisdom, that joy that exudes and lives within each and every one of us, even in the midst of the shadow and the darkness. And so we allow ourselves to lean in. We allow ourselves to sit in the knowingness that something far greater and more powerful is holding all of this in our lives in a place that we most need to be aligned and connected to. And so whatever must get out of the way, we allow it to go. We let go. We free ourselves. We choose to live an encumbered and free life. And so I bless this community. I bless our time. I bless the message today. I bless whatever it is that came through me that might have touched someone in this room. I give gratitude for vulnerability and authenticity, because I truly feel that that is the thing that connects us to each other as human beings, is the love that we share within our hearts. And so I give thanks for that. I give thanks for this word, for this community. I give thanks for the many ways that people in this community and out in the world come together to make this a beautiful, powerful place of belonging and connection. And I release my word into the activation of love itself, and I know that all is truly well. It is done. We are guarded, safe, protected, connected. And so I let it be. And together let us all say Ashe, Namaste, and so it is. Thank you, everybody.
You know, a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. And a dream is just a vessel, it must follow where it goes. Trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside and let the waters slip away, till we put off till tomorrow what has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance with the tide. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. And there's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls, but with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. Well, I will sail my vessel till the water runs dry. I will sail my vessel till the water runs dry. We keep going.
Oh my goodness, what a day. Thank you so much, Rev Savanna. Yeah, I asked myself that. Why the break? I had 12 weeks to think about that. And thank you, Linda. Oh my God, her music. You always have the right songs at the right time.
Just really by accident, honestly. That was not the song I was going to do. I changed it while I was listening to Savannah.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Nice, Linda. She always reads us. Do you have anything coming up?
Yes, lots of stuff. It's on my website,
Her
lindakidder.com. That's probably the best way to do it, because I can't
lindakidder.com.
think of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's too much
Exactly. So
stuff. Lots of December gigs.
Wow. All right. So now is that time to acknowledge our gratitude. So for our loving community, it's our opportunity to participate in the spiritual practice of giving. Yes. And it feels right to you. If it feels right, I want you to take your contribution of time and treasure and talent today, and whatever other gift of yours to give, and just hold it to your heart. Just put it on your heart. Whatever you have today to share. And now please say know a specific good for yourself and a specific good for this center. Do we have it on the screen? Oh, there's no screen today. We're just going to visualize this ourselves. So let's say this together. This gift I give is spirit in action.
This gift I give is spirit in action.
I give it in joy.
I give it in joy.
I give it in love.
I give it in love.
I give it with a completely open heart and mind.
I give it with a completely open heart and mind.
I know that I have received a lot with great gratitude.
I know that I have received a lot with great gratitude.
And there is abundance for everyone.
And there is abundance for everyone.
So now this gift enters with love and gratitude into the law of circulation and abundance. That's how it works. So bless all these beautiful gifts, and we'll just take a moment as you bring up the ushers bring up the. And as they're doing this, you know there's lots of ways to give to CSL. You can go online, and we still take checks. We definitely take cash if you're here in person, And you can also do this by being a regular giver through your credit card or something to do with your account. So take your
I am blessed. I am blessed. Every day of my life I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. That's right. I am blessed. I am blessed. Well, every day of my life I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, I am blessed, I am blessed, I am blessed. Oh, I am blessed, I am blessed. Every day of my life I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, I am blessed, I am blessed, I am blessed. I am blessed, 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 I am blessed. We are blessed, we are all blessed, we are blessed, we are blessed, we are blessed.
Hey! Yeah. Way to go, Linda. So if we could get the practitioners up here, Miss Jill and Miss Savannah and Miss Liv. Here we are. So as we come together with these baskets, I bless these gifts, the givers and the receivers, this wonderful community. I know that these gifts make a difference to this beautiful community in so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. By the way, our practitioners are available. We're here. If you want to have some treatment or time, just come and see us. We're happy to give you some of that time after service today. So let's say together.
Read the message for the community.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Diane, you want to pull one out? Okay, thank you. This is for the online people. Those of you, the future is not fixed. It is created by our thoughts and actions in the present moment. Ernest Holmes. Yeah, yeah, the people here do that, so well done. All right, so let's say this together. It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called, let's just stay in our body and be courageous. It's this thing called power. Yeah, I like that, Jill. It's this thing called power.
It's this thing called power.
I know it.
I know it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I express it.
I express it.
I am it.
I am it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, take it away, music. Thank you.
I
Buy your tickets.
release.
Buy your tickets.
Oh, let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. One more time. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. Oh, with my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Hey! Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
coming today. And thank you to those of you who are online. Thank you. Don't forget to buy your ticket and your forgiveness for tomorrow. What? No, those are free. Free. Take a book. Get your free book.